Greetings from BonnieKissinger.com. This is a beginning yoga flow series, 15 minutes long. Standing at the top of our mat, let's square our feet, lift our toes, lift up the heart nice and tall, soften the shoulders. We inhale the hands up and exhaling down halfway, touching in with the hamstrings, seeing how they feel, aiming towards getting at a flat back. And then let's inhale all the way up, the hands up to the ceiling, and exhaling, hands down to the heart. Inhale all the way up, exhaling down all the way to the floor this time. If your hamstrings are really tight, grab your block and put your block underneath your hands. We need a contact point. Bending your knees, trying to bring your ribs towards your thighs. And then inhaling all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale up. Exhale all the way down, hands touching the floor of your block. Inhale halfway up. We're aiming for a flat back, so if your hamstrings are super tight and you need to bring your chest up more, go ahead and do that. Trying to connect in with the hamstrings, not necessarily the sit bones. And exhaling all the way down. Inhaling all the way up. Exhaling, hands down to the heart. Inhaling up, exhale down. Inhale the heart halfway up, back flat. We're going to transition to downward facing dog, so stepping the feet back, hands are on the floor. So some instructions for downward facing dog. Hands should be at least shoulder width wide, if not a little bit wider. If you have tight swimming shoulders, the hands need to be wider. Palms on the floor. Pressing down. You want to press through the index finger, the thumb mound. Downward facing dog can be with the legs bent if your hamstrings and calves are very tight, and it doesn't matter if the heels don't come to the floor. The main purpose of downward facing dog is extending the spine. And we're going to walk our feet towards the top of the mat, inhaling all the way up, exhaling, hands down to the heart. Inhale the hands up. And exhale down. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, downward facing dog, planting the hands, finding the feet. Feet placement for downward facing dog is often a struggle for beginners. I always tell them to shift forward to plank, where your shoulders are above your hands, your back is flat, your sit bones aren't up. And this is where your hands and feet are for plank. And then just lift the hips, shoot the hips up to the ceiling for downward facing dog. Try not to move the feet. After you've practiced yoga a bit, your feet placement will become automatic. Walk the feet towards the top of the space, inhaling all the way up, hands down to the heart. Inhaling up, exhale down, inhale halfway up, and downward facing dog. And we shift our weight forward to plank. Have a nice strong plank. The elbows are slightly bent. For those that hyperextend their elbows, you'll gain arm strength by slightly bending your elbows. And we stay here for a moment, building strength, pushing through the heels. For beginners, let's transition through this series of poses in a gentle fashion, building strength. So we drop the knees down, the elbows come straight back, the heart comes forward, all the way down. All 10 toes are on the mat, even the little pinky toe. And with an inhale, we bring the heart up. This is Cobra or Bhujangasana. My feet are down on the floor and reaching back. And I lower down, shift back to downward facing dog. And stepping all the way forward, reaching all the way up, hands down to the heart. Inhale up, exhale down, inhale halfway up, downward facing dog, forward for plank, and knees, chest, chin, lower down. Inhale up for an easy cobra pose. Another aspect of Cobra is that the elbows are pressing in towards the torso and towards the feet, and that your gaze is down. You're not looking too forward, not straining the neck. And release down, back to downward facing dog. Stepping all the way forward, all the way up, hands down to the heart. Continuing on, inhale up, exhale down, halfway up, exhaling to downward facing dog. Shift forward to plank, lower knees, chest, chin. Inhale up for Cobra, Bhujangasana. Back to downward facing dog. Stepping all the way forward, reaching all the way up, and hands down to the heart. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling up, exhale down, inhale halfway up, downward facing dog, forward for plank, lower knees, chest, chin, keep the heart forward, 10 toes on the floor. Inhale up for Bhujangasana or Cobra. Strengthens the back. Back to downward facing dog. Stepping all the way forward. Inhale all the way up. Hands down to the heart. We're going to change this one. We're going to move to a counter pose of Cobra and of swimming. So inhaling up. Exhale down. Inhale halfway up. Downward facing dog. And instead of shifting forward to plank, we're going to go the opposite way. We're going to kind of shift forward, drop the knees, cross the feet, roll back onto the seat. We're going to try reverse plank or reverse table first. So you're going to put your hands out to the side. Fingertips can face out from your mat. This is the easiest part for the shoulders. And a word of caution on the shoulders. Any pinpointed pain, stickers, pricklies, please exit immediately out of the pose. It's not beneficial to feel that pain. The feet are squared forward. They're going to remain hip distance apart, as well as the knees stay hip distance apart. And so when you inhale up, you lift the heart, control the neck. Knees stay hip distance apart. Feet don't grip the mat. This is an excellent shoulder stretch, as well as strengthening of the backside of the core. And release down, cross the feet, switch back to downward facing dog. And stepping forward, reaching all the way up to the top of the mat. Hands down to the heart. Inhaling up, exhale down, halfway up, and downward facing dog. Where we're going to repeat that, but move to full reverse plank this time. So, shifting forward, drop the knees, cross the feet, roll back onto the seat. Fingers are facing out. This time we extend out and we lift up. If your feet are tight, you're going to be like this. You want the feet to reach forward, not gripping the toes. The gripping of the toes will cause your feet to cramp. Lifting of the heart. Full reverse plank, excellent core work, and stretch of the shoulders. And dropping down, cross the feet, shift back to downward facing dog. And let's step all the way forward, reaching all the way up, hands down to the heart. We're changing again. Inhaling up, exhale down, inhale halfway up, and exhale down. This time we're going to step our right foot back. We're going to drop the back knee. Front foot is active, the toes are lifted, and the knee does not extend past the ankle ever. You want to get into a habit of this 90 degrees. If you have super tight legs, you can use 2 blocks like this. So you might experience tightness down in here if you have been running and your hip flexors are tight. Or tightness right here from psoas and hip flexors. We're being slow and letting everything stretch out a little bit. You'll feel some inner thigh If you stay here a little bit, the stretch changes. And then we're going to shift to downward facing dog. So roll the back toes, plant the hands, back to downward facing dog. In this downward facing dog, we're going to stay a little bit and we're going to focus on the calves. So planting the hands firmly. Remember, shoulder width wide or a little bit wider. Alternate pressing the heels down. You can bend and sway the hips a bit. Give the calves some time to relax. They're warmed up a little bit now. Always trying to push the chest back towards the thighs. And a couple more breaths. Alternating the heels down. And then we're going to bring the right foot all the way forward to the top of the space. If it doesn't get it there, help it out. You want it 90 degrees with the knee. And allowing the hips to sink down. Again, if you need a block, go ahead and lift up like this. It's helpful in yoga to focus on your breath, and with the exhales, try to tell yourself to relax. Try to tell the muscles that are tight to relax. If it's pained stretching, ease off of that. But if it's just kind of tight, imagine that your breath can soothe those muscles and tell them that it's okay to release. We hold some of these poses longer for 45 seconds or so to tell the muscle fibers that it's okay to relax. Some of them won't relax for at least a minute. We're going to move back to downward facing dog, so roll that back toe under. Plant your hands, shift back to downward facing dog, again pedaling the feet back and forth, making sure that the hand connection in the front is strong, pushing the index fingers down, the palm mounds down, and then let's step to the top of our mat, inhaling all the way up, exhaling hands to the heart, inhale up, exhale down. Inhale halfway up, right foot steps back, drop the back knee. We're going to move to a modified crescent. So once your front leg is in 90 degrees, lift your torso up. So here is an intermediate stop, allowing this to sink down, but the core is strong and lifting up. So we don't crunch in our lower back, or you can lift up. The shoulders are coming down on the back. The hands are strong. The hip is sinking down, but my core is lifting up, so my lower back doesn't hurt. If your back knee starts to hurt, you can roll the toe and see if that helps, or put a towel underneath your knee. Sometimes the patella doesn't like this action, especially with tight running legs. Back to downward facing dog. Again with downward facing dog, stretching the backs of the legs. Shift forward to plank. Lower knees, chest, chin. Inhale up for cobra. Back to downward facing dog. One more breath here. And then stepping the right foot forward. Help it up to 90 degrees. Inhale the torso up. The hands can be on the thigh. Or inhaling the hands all the way up. Remember that the hips are sinking down. You're allowing things to stretch out. But the core is lifting up, so the lower back doesn't hurt. Shoulders are coming down the back, hands are active. Modified crescent. And back to downward facing dog. Stepping all the way to the top of the mat. Inhaling the hands all the way up. Exhaling hands to the heart. One more salutation for this warm-up. Inhaling up, exhaling down, halfway up, and downward facing dog. Forward for plank. Drop the knees, cross the feet, roll back on your seat, transition into full reverse plank. And dropping down, switch back to downward facing dog. Take one more breath in downward facing dog, then stepping forward, reaching all the way up, hands down to the heart.